Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Noni Mugera. Welcome to yet another episode of the Plunge Podcast. This is where we have conversations that matter surrounding better mental health, healing, transformation, and self-development. Today, we want to talk about leadership and how good leadership looks like and how it affects our lifestyles and our personalities and who we are, because self-development is a huge spectrum of who we are as individuals. And I have none other than my amazing friend, someone I truly respect so much. Without further ado, Diallo Gatabaki.
Hello, everyone. I'm just thinking, I wish I could just take a snippet of that and set it as my alarm, because that's the best intro I have ever gotten in my entire life.
You know what it's gonna be?
Yeah.
You know how when someone calls you on the phone
Yeah.
and they're like, sorry, the other
Sorry,
company, yeah,
exactly.
so now you're here.
Like an answering machine
Accolades.
message.
All right,
Yeah.
let's get into the accolades, because this is the place where I feel like I love to give people flowers.
Thank you.
First of all, I met you through the music scene,
Yes.
where you promised to make me a star.
Wow.
Conversation for another day.
Yeah.
Diallo, you've been a digital market lead for one of the top media houses in the country.
This is correct.
You have also been a group digital marketing manager for an amazing organization. You have just currently been the general manager and CCO of Shop Zetu.
Yeah, shout out Shop Zetu.
Hey. And right now you are the commercial manager e-commerce of a
very large telco.
A very large telco that we all know that we're probably using right now as we speak.
Exactly.
That's like a huge, I would say, growth in terms of leadership.
It is.
And then when I met you, you were also in a leadership position, and I've just seen you grow and grow.
Yeah.
So like, I want you to take us back in your early memory of Diallo, early years that created the center stage of you in leadership.
Yeah. Oh, wow. We could be here all day. But here's the thing. Throughout my career and leadership journey, I think a lot of things have really, had a really deep impact on me.
Right.
And at the end of the day, it's about the leaders I aspired to be like, especially when I was much younger.
Like who?
I wouldn't name names, but just even in the companies coming up, there were people obviously I aspired to be like. I just thought they were so cool, these larger than life characters. But on the other hand, I've also shaped, and I mean, with no shame to them, a lot of people are products of their time. It's also combating the myth of that boss type, that archetype, the boss, everything the boss says is right, everything goes. And unfortunately, and I'm sure for a lot of people listening to this podcast, they would have had what I can say is not really good experiences with bosses.
Do not trigger me.
Yeah. So I think throughout the years, what I've always been intentional in being is like, I don't even like the word boss, to be honest. It just puts a very bad taste in my mouth.
What
but
word would you prefer?
I don't know, call it servant leader, whatever. I just call it whatever it is. Yeah. But when you are called, and I do believe you are called or awarded the title of whether it's a manager or just a leader in any respect, I feel that, you are of service to people. Yeah. You have been given a position of accountability. And yes, you're accountable for whatever metrics the business wants, but you're accountable for people. Mm-hmm. And people do, as you rise and you continue going up in your career ladder, I think people become the most important part of your job. So being a people person, working with different people, understanding conflict, psychological safety, those things tend to become actually what more of your job is about than just, the day-to-day business as usual sort of thing. So for me, I've always tried. I use the word try because you can't nail it 100% of the time. I think for me that's been particularly important to me, and I say that because I do not want to be necessarily like some of the leaders I've had. I wouldn't say necessarily maybe the displeasure of working under and learning from, so to
All
speak.
right. So I feel like you've brought us to a really cool segue because a huge part of my podcast, in essence, was me transitioning from corporate life to creative
Go
life.
you.
Yay.
Go you.
Do you remember there's a day we were at Art Cafe and oopsie.
I do.
Art Cafe has not sponsored this, but anyway.
Yeah.
I remember I was
it's a freebie. Take it. Take that freebie.
I was so distraught. I don't know if you recall.
I do.
And I think I almost cried.
I don't remember the crying part.
I said I almost.
Oh, okay, fine.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then I was telling you, I really, really dislike, let's be honest and authentic. I hated working in a corporate life. And I think essentially it was more so because I felt like I used to work in environments that didn't really allow me to thrive as an individual. Not so much the skill set that is required. And I feel like for a lot of people in the in the corporate area, or rather if you have a manager, let's just leave corporate alone. If you just have someone who you have to, you have like a manager, right? How do we, for instance, if I'm looking for a job, how can I tell this organization or this company has good leadership before I join, as opposed to just joining just to have a salary?
And I think you've nailed it. It is so hard, before you join any big company, and that's always been the mantra. And the places I've been trying to communicate that, whenever we're hiring someone, it's a two-way street. So we're hiring someone, and yes, you can do your sort of background checks, and you can interview them 6-7 times. I don't know why 6-7 times. You can go through the entire process, but it is at the end of the day a gamble, and you're hoping to get someone who obviously is good, a subject matter expert, but at the same time can sort of bring some new ideas and freshness to the company. But on the other side, if you're joining a company, this is a place where you'll be spending most of your time. You spend up to 8-9 hours every day. The people who you work with in the office, you see them a lot more than your own family. A lot of guys don't understand that. So it's on the company. The company has an obligation to make sure that the working environment is suitable for you and is helping you grow, is challenging you. So I feel that in a lot of ways, whether I want to call it corporate culture or just leadership in general in this sort of spaces, has failed in that respect. I think in the last few years, especially post-pandemic, it's really picked up, but there's a lot of work to be done. And I really, and look, I'm not going to be naive. Being a manager is hard. And again, a lot of the conversations I see being carried online is that, not everyone, you don't have to be a manager. We have this thing really imprinted in our brains that it's like
corporate career ladder is to be a manager.
Right, that ladder all the way to the top, but you can still be of equal, like as an individual contributor, you can still be of equal value to the company than just being a manager. Because let's just be honest, not everyone is cut out to be a manager. You can be really, really good at your job. Like maybe you're the best in the department at doing that job, and you're still not cut out to be a manager, because that's an entirely different skill set. And I feel that for the longest time, we just never got the adequate training and support for that.
What makes a good manager?
Wow. That is the most academic thing I've had today.
And then no, because you just mentioned not everyone is cut out to be a manager, and that you have to be a good So what? Let's remove the word manager. Let's talk leadership.
Let's talk leadership.
What makes a good leader, and then how do you know you're destined to be a leader?
Okay, so
is it nature?
Is it nature versus nurture? Oh my God. Well, I obviously answer the best way I know how to answer this question. Obviously, there's books. And there's so much stuff written about this. But I know, again, if you're a leader, a lot of the times it's something, like I can say, can both be grown, in terms of leadership, and it's something that you naturally have. And this has everything to do from when you're a child and how you socialize with the different kind of people. But I think innately it is how do you feel about helping the people around you grow? And for me, that's the biggest, most important thing about leadership. Again, like I said, as you continue to go up in the ladder, what you know about that particular subject or discipline you're in becomes less important. And how you're able to, like, mobilize resources, manage people, help them grow. Also in terms of intrapersonal relationships with other leaders in the organization, that becomes a lot more important. So there's a joke within the marketing community, in the beginning, there's the 4 P's of marketing, promotion, place, and that sort of thing. But when you become a marketing leader, like a CMO, whatnot, there's only 2 P's of marketing, and that's politics and persuasion.
Oh,
and they
wow.
both have to do with people.
I have never heard of
Yeah,
that.
it is. So
In my 8 years of marketing,
Yeah.
I have never
Well,
heard of
you
that.
need to talk to me more often. But that's just it. So it is, and I think with leadership, that's what leader, yeah, people follow you, people look up to you. And I think we lose sight of the fact that, if you're put into that position, you have an obligation to let the team grow, or to guide the team and grow them. And yes, there'll always be targets and that sort of thing. But if people are your first, I think if people would be your first sort of priority, a lot more success can be banked on.
Is there
Yeah.
one person in particular in your team throughout your entire career
Yeah.
who has stood out for you, top of mind? That
Yeah.
person, and like why and how?
Yeah. There are many, and just I think for different reasons. So like with the different leaders I've had, early parts of my career were more in the advertising and marketing communication space. So I was working in agencies, and the people who I really look up to at the time are these people who are just like really not afraid. They did not show any fear. So, you have these ideas, you need to go propose them to the client. Client's favorite word is no. So yeah, just having, the sort of goal to just go in front of them and tell them, I know this is your business, this is your area, but we feel that, you could be doing this a lot better if you listen to us, and so on and so on. So for me, that is especially inspiring, because that takes courage. Yeah. So for me, I think during that period, that was the thing I most aspired to be. And then when you come to more of what we'd call the corporate space, I think for me, the leaders who I look up to, obviously in the entrepreneurial space, at Shop Zeto, of course, with Wandia being the founder, co-founder of Vivo. And like, it was just so amazing because she's super down to earth, which for me is one of the best qualities. But and then obviously, always able to, roll her sleeves to get something done. But at the same time, just showing people the big picture. And I think as a leader, that's one of the things you can't get into this trap of not seeing the forest for the trees, for this big picture.
Yeah.
Like, we can get there.
Mm-hmm.
And instilling that sense of belief in people. So different leaders for different seasons, I'd say. But yeah, I'd always go back to like how you treat people. And for me, one of the biggest lessons is, or maybe things I try to steer away from, is that when you're given an opportunity to be the leader, you have to remind yourself is like, one, how you got there, and how you're setting up now the next generation of people to take over you. Yeah. So
Super
yeah.
important.
Yeah, it's super important.
What's like a nuance that leaders have
Yeah.
that we as the people who look up to them
Yeah.
might not know or see?
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. I know of leadership that I used to look up to so much,
Yeah.
and then the person was laid off.
Yeah.
So I was
Yeah.
devastated.
T
And
for
so
tough.
if I was so devastated on their behalf,
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, how are they feeling?
Yeah.
So like when, say, for instance, a leader is going through a tough time or a
Yeah.
tough period, or maybe like a daily nuance that we have no idea they're
Yeah.
going through, and yet we come every day expecting them to deliver at their best.
Yeah.
How does a leader deal with that?
Yeah. We also forget that leaders are people. Yeah. And people go through the same things every other person has to. So in moments of great vulnerability, in moments of great personal stress and whatnot, they're affected just like everyone else. Now, in work setting, obviously, because of the position they occupy, a lot of the times they're not free to show it. Yeah. And that is the burden of leadership. So I think if it's one thing a lot of people don't realize, is that at the end of the day, regardless of what type of leader they are, they are people and they need to be treated as such. So, and I think that also works the other way around, yeah, because a lot of what's coming up now, and I want to call it a big shift, is leaders showing vulnerability, because I think that what that gives is a sort of grace, and it gives also room for people to have psychological safety in the workplace. So, leaders being vulnerable about, the areas where they succeeded and where they failed makes them one more relatable, and relatability, I think, really opens a lot of doors for communication, which should be one of the leaders' greatest tools. Yeah, and we both know, like, unfortunately, a lot of leaders do not know how to communicate. They don't know how to listen intelligently.
Even people who work in the communications department
Yeah, so
do not know
it is
how to communicate.
It's a misnomer, because a lot of the time, and actually a big part of leadership is communicating. Yeah, you're not the one who's, physically doing a lot of the work. Yeah. You're in charge of a coalition of people who are doing this work. So it's about communicating, setting the expectations, listening to feedback, and at the same time realizing at the end of the day, this is, with the team that you have, this is what they do for a living, but it is not their life. Yeah, and making space for that. So it's tricky. Again, leadership is hard. I'll never sit in a chair like this and just try to try to glaze over it and try to glaze over it. It's definitely hard, but yeah, I think what the trends are telling us is that people have been called on to be leaders who can, one, use the powers invested in them a bit more responsibly.
I'm jaded from leadership. I have been. I'm not right now. I have been jaded from terrible leadership. What advice would you give someone like me who feels like, and I'm sure we're not alone. We're a fort. What advice would you give for people like me who feel like they've been jaded? And then obviously you're not going to live in one organization forever. You're going to move on, and you're going to meet leaders in whatever industry you're in, even if you're in the creative space. You're going to meet leaders in that industry in one way or the other. But then I'm already jaded. It's almost like I have an ex who hurt me. And then now, how do I get into this new relationship with a good, positive mind? So how do I get into another industry or another organization with an open mind when all I remember is the jadation of it all?
It is. I mean, there's literally whole books written towards, that whole thing, people don't leave bad jobs, they leave bad managers.
But I know that book.
There's a quote around that.
I promise you. First of all, there's a book, and I promise you, I almost bought that book for my. Let me just. I almost bought that book for her.
There is a quote around that, and it's true. And just like an ex, like a bad ex, is that one. Even if you do take the learnings from it, and there is some trauma, and I'm telling you, it goes just as deep as any relationship. Yeah, the one that you have with your leader.
It's probably deeper.
It goes deep. Yeah, because you're with this person.
Because technically, they're holding. It's not even about the time. They're holding your livelihood in their hands.
That is true. And I'll say, back in the bad old days, that's what used to empower a lot of this kind of people, because at the end of the day, this is your job. This is how you sustain yourself. This is how you sustain your family. And that's power. And it's very easy to abuse. Power. It's deep power, and because of that, abuse can come up, whether it's psychological or even just verbal abuse, and that used to be there quite a bit. It still is, actually. I just think a lot of companies, especially good companies, are waking up to that fact. But it's gonna be hard to completely erode, because it has been part of corporate culture for the last 40, 50 years. Who knows? But here's the thing, when I was joining where I am right now, and I told my friends about it because I was trying to flex, and this guy sent me a WhatsApp, and it's just the most out of pocket quote, and he's like, when a clown joins a palace, he doesn't become a prince, the palace becomes a circus. And so obviously that's a dig at me, but I think with leadership and with genuine leadership, I was just like, what do you mean by this, bro? But I think with genuine leadership, it does show and it gets to manifest, and people eventually will find you out. So I think in your scenario, what it is just like any other ex, sorry to you. It happens to the best of us, but there will be people who you meet down the line who will be the actually upstanding sort of figures who will demonstrate actually proper leadership and who you can hopefully feel inspired by.
I think I'm there now.
Okay.
I think I'm there. Well, they're not necessarily my manager, but they're like leadership in the industry, in the podcast industry, in the music industry.
I think you're a leader. So maybe I think you're a leader, and maybe that's the whole point, is that you don't become the you don't become the bad examples that were set for you in the past. Yeah.
Thank you. I really appreciate you for saying that.
Yeah. So there you go. Go on and be great.
I've been thinking deep down I am, but I never.
Yeah. I mean, we are in one respect. It doesn't have to be in an office setting. We're all leaders
the
in
leader
one respect
of
or the other.
my home, my apartment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Do you have cats?
No.
So which is just as well, because you can't lead
proper
cats.
Segue.
You can't lead cats. Yeah.
Let's talk about your cats. Let's talk about your family.
Wow.
You are now a husband, a father.
Proud husband. Elated father.
Yeah. Of 3.
You're gonna bring the cats into this. My wife is gonna watch this, so I have to choose my words so carefully. But go on.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Fatherhood. Wow. There are simply no words in the English language to describe what I feel every day. Yeah, and that works both ways. It is terrifying. I think when we knew we were going to have a baby, and I am a lot. I'm holding the wrong end of the stick when it comes to my 30s. But even when I knew I was going to become a father, it is still terrifying, because you get to look back at all the things you've done in your life, and you're like, even though I'm older now and I'd like to think I'm mature, this is a human being you're bringing to the world, and you're going to be purely responsible for this person. And yeah, that is terrifying. But the baby gets here, and it's the most beautiful thing you've ever seen in your
so
thank you. Thank God to his mother, right? And then it just completely throws everything that you've ever known outside the window. And I am so grateful that I have the honor to be Yaya's father. And every day I'm learning. I mess up quite a bit, but I am learning. And I think it shifts your priorities, and nothing you ever do in this world is going to be as important as going home and seeing, I was going to say a toothless baby, but just teeth came out. Teeth out. Yeah, but nothing will ever feel as fulfilling or rewarding as going home and just seeing your son or daughter just looking up at you and just being happy to see you. Yeah.
I've interviewed a couple of guys on my podcast, and every time they talk about their kids, they get a little teary-eyed.
Yeah.
And it's like they're like in their own zone in the spaces. I feel like you kind of move to your heart.
Yes.
Energy, and I'm seeing that with you, and I just wonder. I don't know if this is too deep for you to talk about, but like I just wonder, has this shifted maybe the relationship that you had with your own father?
Yeah.
And then now that you're a dad, especially to a son, how do you feel that has kind of like
it does? It really has. So I'm very fortunate. I've always had a fantastic relationship with my father. I look up to him. He's a very stoic, very quiet man, but also filled with so much purpose and drive, and obviously still is a hero to me. So I am very fortunate for that, and I am grateful. So I think one of the things that automatically comes to mind is like, how can I share that amazing experience with my dad now with my son, and be everything, and just to pass on the lessons that were taught to me. But more importantly is, as when you have a child of your own, or even before that, you always see your dad as your dad, but you also see him as a man, and everything that encompasses, so good or bad. And I think that's where true love really resides. It's like, he was a man doing the most that he could, and he raised us. We're 4 kids, and he was amazing. So I think for me that just kind of something just clicks in your head, and you're just like, give yourself grace to be a good man and to be a great father. Be present. Obviously, love your wife. Be her friend. Be her shoulder. Be her rock. And take life one day at a time.
Yeah. Does life change after marriage, or do you feel like it grows in your perspective?
Of course, it's marriage. Of course, it changes.
I
You have to
really
be
wouldn't
specific.
know.
You have
That's
to
why I'm
you have to be
asking.
more specific. Yeah, of course it changes.
Especially in your 30s. Let me just
yeah.
put context to this question.
Yeah.
Especially now that you're in your 30s
Yeah.
and then you're a father.
Yeah.
But before that,
Yeah.
you're a husband and you've
Yeah.
been in a relationship with
Yeah.
your partner for quite a while.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful person.
Yeah.
And
She's the best. Yeah. Yeah, she's the best.
And I just wonder, because there's not a lot of positive examples of a healthy marriage, especially in this day and age.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm just wondering, in your opinion, how was the transition from singlehood to marriage?
Yeah.
And by singlehood, I mean not being married, not being in a relationship.
I mean like being in a relationship.
Yes, and then marriage, right?
Yeah.
So how has that shifted who you are as an individual?
Yeah. Wow.
And then also with your partner as well.
Yeah, that's a deep one. It's funny, you never really think of these things when they're happening. I think for me with marriage is right off the gate, I think again, it's just that your priorities change. And we'd been dating for quite a while. So obviously I knew this was the path that we were going to take eventually. There's just a matter of timing. But I think for us guys I think was very clear is that, now that we're literally and figuratively tied at the hip is how we're going to navigate life's challenges together. Life is full of suffering, and then you just kind of enjoy the moments in between. So we need to be that for each other. So I think for me, one is it helped destroy a lot of preconceived notions about myself and who I am.
Like what?
I think this is a problem that most guys have. You'd like to think you're a good guy. Yeah. Like, he's a good guy. Yeah, I mean, he's alright, he's okay. It's not good enough. Yeah, these things they say on, it's X now, but they call it Twitter. It's like, you don't applaud a fish for swimming. Yeah, that's the sort of thing. Yeah, so it's not good to just be good. Yeah, to the things that really matter to you. So, and I think you, as a man, you really coast through your life. It's like, oh, but I don't hit women or I don't abuse anyone. Right. It's like, I haven't robbed anyone lately, so that's okay.
It's like bare minimum.
It's bare minimum. Exactly. We really coast on a surfing board of bare minimum for most of our lives. And then you get married and just like, oh, this isn't all about you. And I think that's super important. So your ego gets put in check very quickly. I think that's one of the first things. Yeah, you're just like, yeah, this is all about me. But I think also when it comes to matters of kindness, and I think for me, that's one of the traits I love in most people. And it's really genuine and not the performative, like nice guy sort of thing, but like just genuine kindness. Yeah. Just genuine kindness is one of the most important traits. So a lot of those things, I mean, with your partner, and it's relationships again. And I use this word like a million times, forgive me. Like, it's just so hard. Relationships are hard. Marriage is hard. And the guys who are doing the PR for marriage as an institution are failing deeply because it's true.
We need to have a PR agency.
A PR agency.
Isn't that the therapist?
Yeah. Well, that's true. But no, man. Like, I knew exactly what I was signing up for, and I'm gonna stumble a lot, and I'm gonna make all the mistakes, and I'm gonna try to forgive myself for them, but more importantly, just always try to center my family in front of what I'm doing. So a lot of those things are realizations you can only get after getting married, more often than not. So for me, it's been a huge change, and I'm just so happy for them.
Yeah. I like how you put your marriage and your family center stage on your social media.
Yeah.
And then also you're married to a member of Over 25.
Yes.
And she's already in the limelight.
Yeah.
So basically that's you putting yourself.
Unbelievably, she's the star of this show. She is the star of this show.
First of all, we need an Over 25 podcast. I said what I said. But other than that, you're already in the limelight. What was I even saying? You made me lose my trail of thought. Right. Okay, so you're married to someone who's already quite popular.
Yeah.
And obviously that's also making you stand out.
Yeah.
But then also, I feel like you also have your own little quirks.
Yeah, just a bit. Yeah. Just a bit. Yeah.
So, in your own opinion, are you social media famous?
I wouldn't say famous, honestly. And if I have any following,
Aren't
I would
you
say
already
that
doing-
I don't.
Aren't you already doing
I
paid partnerships
am.
by? Isn't
I
that
am,
influencer?
and I'm super grateful for that. But that's fine. But honestly, like I pale in comparison to her, and I mean, like, and people used to have these discussions about, like what content creators and that sort of too, and like, would you call that, trying to conflate it to it not being like a job or anything like that? But I've seen her work. Yeah, I've seen her go. I've seen how much planning it takes in terms of whether it's timing, getting the right people there, intentionality, coming, like ideation. Like, I am in awe of her, and that kind of that is a
Right.
lot of work. So
And I feel like she does it so it comes off very effortlessly
yeah,
and so graceful.
it does, and that's her superpower. It looks like, it's something that she could have just rolled out of bed and just do it, but at the same time, the amount of work and effort that goes in, I'm like, I personally know I couldn't do that.
So
Like,
she
I can't do
mentoring
it.
you on that
She tries to give me
aspect?
advice, but I'm just not very good. So, but
Wait, are you saying you're
no?
not?
I mean,
You're-
I can't compare. They're amazing creators there. I mean,
Yeah.
I do my thing every now and then. Then thank you for saying that. But
Mhm.
yeah, there's leagues and there's people who are just woof, man. Just
There's leagues
yeah,
and there's
there's
leagues.
league. Yeah.
So
people
there's
who just-
leadership,
yeah,
and
there's
then
leadership,
there's the
there's
rest.
us guys who are just trying to get by, just doing our thing. Yeah. But no, it's amazing, and I love the fact that, and a lot of people say, like the kind of persona you put on Instagram or on your socials and who you are in real life, like those are two different people. And
Is it though? Isn't
a
just?
lot of times, yeah, I know you
I
have
feel
people
like
who put
it's-
up a front.
I feel
and that
like
sort of
it's
thing.
it's a reflection of who you are,
Yeah.
but not a reflection of the whole individuality.
That's true. Or maybe you're just showing some size to the public.
That's exactly yeah.
Yeah,
That's what
and
mean.
I guess that's true. But I think because I'm privy to this, and because I am married to an amazing person who gets to do this every day, I think, yeah, it's important, obviously, that you hold stuff back. The whole world doesn't need to know all aspects of your life. So I'm very grateful for that. But yeah, I think when it comes to what they put out there, it's very genuine. It's a lot of hard work, and obviously she's rewarded for it. She has an amazing following, and for the most of it, the people who are, I guess, fans of her page or channel, I don't know if I should call them fans, just more like friends. She hasn't
people.
met it. Yeah, her people.
Her community.
Yeah, it's such a good, healthy community who are very positive, and that's very rare. Yeah, we know how the
extremely
internet
rare.
is toxic.
I'm trying to build a community, and I
Yeah.
know just how hard it is.
Yeah, it's very hard, and yeah, but just super positive people. You just go to her posts and stuff, and you just see the sort of love and feedback that they give back, and that is amazing. And
That's also a reflection of who she is.
yes, absolutely. Yeah.
I love that for
Yeah.
you guys.
Thank you.
Let's talk about whiskey and golf.
Yeah. Well, what do you want to know about?
Yeah,
whiskey
I
and
want to
golf?
know
Yeah.
why whiskey, why golf?
Why not? Do I not look like a whiskey person?
You look like a whiskey
Ish.
connoisseur.
A connoisseur. Okay, cool.
I'm not sure about the
Job
golf
done.
part.
Yeah. So
I'm a
wow.
golfer. That's why I'm saying this.
Yeah. So I can't flex on that. Yeah. So it's something that I'm really trying to pick up.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I think the whiskey, just the marriage of the two, just makes so much sense, after a game and whatnot. Big fan of whiskey. I always have been. It's been my drink. Drink responsibly, always. And then yeah, so it just, coming up with the content, and it's so fun because this is something I'm learning to grow, and to learn and to play, and it's yeah. So I just thought, like, the marriage it's inevitable. with
It's a
whiskey and
marriage.
It's a marriage.
So you're in
just
two
like anything
marriages.
else, yes. But yeah, it's a whole lot of fun, and in a life this short, if you're not gonna do fun things every now and then, what's the point?
What's the point?
Yeah, what's the point?
You have to work hard and
Yeah, work
play
hard,
harder.
yeah.
and then go home to a lovely
And-
family.
Yeah, loving family.
That's the perfect life.
Amen.
huh?
Amen.
I love that for
Yeah.
you. Diallo, I feel like we've come to the end of our pod.
What? No.
Can you imagine?
No.
It's time for happy hour.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
And it's Friday.
then it's fine. Yeah.
But before we go,
Yeah.
I don't know if you have. Do you listen to podcasts?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, I'd love for you to share maybe something that you feel has really impacted you
Yeah.
from a pod that you probably listened to.
Yeah.
So you can name the pod and then
Yeah.
how it's impacted you.
Yeah.
And then maybe a closing word of what we should, I don't know, something about leadership.
Okay. Oh, that's very broad. So with the podcasts, most of the podcasts.
I'm sorry, I'm thinking about the leadership.
Oh, the
thing.
leadership thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So where do you want me to start? The podcast or the
All right,
leadership
let's start
thing?
first with the
Closing statement.
podcast.
Yeah. I'll
Podcast
close
thing.
with the leadership thing.
All
So
right.
yeah, I listen to a whole lot of podcasts, to be honest, and dependent. So like it's podcasts for like my career development and whatnot. If I need to name them, so there's marketing against the grain, which is just a bunch of.
We just need one that really gives you so much impact.
There's so many.
You gotta
There's
choose
so
one.
many.
I already have one
Man.
top
That's
of
like trying
mind.
to choose your favorite child.
There we go. Choose your favorite.
Okay,
child.
so I'll put it by category. Yeah. So on matters leadership in general, I love HBR leadership podcast. Just nice, like snack size snippets of leadership and cold calls and that sort of thing. So I love that. On marketing in general, there's so many. There's the Next CMO that I listen to, which I love, and they just there's no hero worship there. It's just about what does it take to become a CMO and marketers and that sort of thing. I love it. There's corporate gossip, and the name of the podcast is actually called Corporate Gossip. Which
there's
is
nothing as
also
juicy
amazing.
as corporate gossip.
And I think a lot of the homegrown ones, I listen to those a lot. This is Love by Jules.
Amazing part.
Man, Jules, you're an icon. At least listen to TMI with Rugi and as well, like just entertainment. I don't even know why guys even have radio anymore. I like that; those they're so entertaining. The Plunge, yeah. But yeah, just so much good content out there. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. So good job.
Asante.
Good job. Yeah.
Asante sana.
Notes on leadership we should know.
From you,
From
your
me.
heart.
From my heart.
Yeah. From all the self-development that you've done.
Yeah.
What do you feel we should go home knowing at the end of everything we've said today?
Yeah.
What's the one nugget that we should remember?
So I'll make it two. One, for everyone who's watching or listening in, is that if you haven't figured this out yet, you're probably already a leader. You just don't know it. Yeah. So, take heart with that. And more importantly, when it comes to matters of leadership and power dynamics, there's a quote that goes, power corrupts and that sort of thing. And maybe, but I find it more likely that, it's not so much that power corrupts. It's just that it's just so attractive to the corruptible, which just poof, mind blown. I've
never thought of it that way.
So if given the opportunity or the honor to be in a position where you need to lead a team, a group of people, it doesn't matter what you're doing and whatnot. Remember, at the end of the day, you are in their position and you are looking up to someone to guide you, to help you grow and to inspire you. When you look back on all the experiences you've had as a leader or the leaders who have come before you, what's the one thing you'd want to change? And then act on it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you for having me.
To plunge into leadership.
Thank you.
Diallo
This is amazing.
Gatabaki.
Yes.
And also thank you for coming for me to pop your pod cherry.
This is my very first. Yes, this is my very first. This is my very first podcast. So thank you so much. Yes,
you're
this
welcome.
is great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
I'm
you.
a leader in your podcast.
There
Pop
we
cherry.
go. There we
Thank
go.
you so much.
Yeah.
It's been a wrap, guys. My name is Noni Mugera. Oh wait, we need to follow you, right? On socials.
That would be nice.
Yes.
Yes.
Please tell the people.
So on everything. This is so teenage. Yeah. So it's despicable. I can almost hear people laughing. So which is DEE _spicable. So that's on everything really. And then of course LinkedIn, just Diallo Gatabaki. And drop me a line. Let's talk. Whether it's about leadership, marketing, or
or whiskey and golf.
Yeah.
My name is Noni Mugera. Please make sure to follow us everywhere on social media. At Noni Mugera or at the Plunge Podcast, wherever you podcast. And it's a wrap. Bye.